Julie and I are skeptics and radical empiricists. We started out skeptical on things, but once we became true believers out of our own experience of things we knew with absolute integrity and authenticity. Julie had a mystical experience. What are some of the characteristics? I'll take these from William James. So from William James, the variety of religious experience. It's ineffable. It's difficult to express in words. It's authoritative. There's an absolute truth there, a direct knowledge. No one could shake Julie's faith in what she experienced. No one could shake that. It's transient. It came and it went. And it's not a place that you could stay for a long, long time. It gives you a sense of union, union with others, union with God, union with the great light, the spirit, whatever you want to call it, that presence. It's timeless, it's out of body, it's awakening at times to the true self. And it gives a sense of a universal connection. Now, these are anecdotal. This is one person's experience. And in the 60s and 70s, we heard a lot about this. Oh, you take psychedelics, you can see God. And in 1962, there was a remarkable experiment done that we document and tell about in our book called The Miracle of Marsh Chapel, that took place in a room in Marsh Chapel at Boston University. And Walter Pankey, who was a graduate student in Timothy Leary's psilocybin project before he got booted out of Harvard, wanted to see if we could prove this. Could we prove that psychedelics induce an authentic mystical experience? He took with his team a group of 20 divinity students. He divided them in half. One half received the psilocybin, 30 grams. The other half received niacin, B12, which gives you kind of a little bit of an energy rush. The divinity students did not know who was getting the psilocybin and who was getting the placebo. The 30 milligrams. The observers did not know who was getting. And in a questionnaire on mystical experience, after this, they found that 9 out of the 10 divinity students had a mystical or full-blown religious experience, including then student Houston Smith, who went on to be a very well-known religious scholar, who said, "This is the most powerful cosmic homecoming. Now I know what the Bible's about that I've been reading all my life." Rick Doblin, the founder of MAPS, for his doctoral dissertation 25 years later, he found 7 of these divinity students who had the mystical experience. And like Julie, they said, it was either the most powerful experience of my life or one of the most significant experiences of my life, and I'm still benefiting for it. Long lasting. Transient, but long lasting. Now, this is where, if it's not interesting enough, the story really gets interesting. We fast forward. So we have the first phase of research, we have the Nixon years, and now we come 2000 to the psychedelic renaissance. And Roland Griffiths, the grandfather of the psychedelic renaissance, who before he started researching psychedelics had 300 peer-reviewed publications in substance, in drugs, and substance abuse. So his credentials and his reputation were impeccable. And he replicated the miracle of Marsh Chapel. And he started at Johns Hopkins, and it's been picked up at NYU and some of it at UCLA. Rigorous 3-stage placebo, double-blind scientific research. What's fascinating here is that you can use science to induce a mystical experience which sort of undermines science, kind of white coat shamanism, as it's been referred to. And there are many, many advances, and you'll see them all over the internet, in the psychedelic renaissance. 2 of the things that have been fast-tracked as breakthrough therapies by the FDA because they show such promise and nothing else is working is MDMA, ecstasy, for post-traumatic stress disorder, treatment resistance. Nothing else is helping these guys. And let me just point out here, there's a protocol going all the way back to Stanislav Grof's LSD psychotherapy. Preparation for the session, eye shades, music, guide to help you out and help you move ahead, post-session integration, all of these things very important. So there's a whole protocol that goes on here. And what Griffiths, the other one is psilocybin for anxiety and depression. There's at least 800 million people in the world who are known to have depression. And it's a horrible thing. And there's been no advances in 30 years. And what has the scientists so excited is 1 or 2 sessions, they're getting 70 or 80% effectiveness where the person has catharted their depression. So what they're saying is, look, when you get something that's replicable and you're getting 70 or 80% results, it's hard not to get excited. It's hard when you're giving psilocybin to people who are dying of terminal cancer and they lose their fear of death. They lose their anxiety. Their pain doesn't go away, but it's less. And they start giving comfort to their own caretakers. Griffith says, you just have to stand back and wonder. And this is what the difference is between the psychedelic renaissance and the 1960s. And when we see medicalization, effective medicalization, someday there will be a psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy place near you. And if the gentlemen from Ryan's group have anything to say about it, it'll be sooner rather than later. And they've been around in the underground for many years. Now, so this is the point I was referring to. The intensity, the improvement is correlated with the intensity of the mystical experience. Remember, this is your brain on drugs. This is your brain on LSD, literally. At Imperial College in London, Robin Carhart Harris has been doing magnetic resonance imaging with normal people before and after taking psychedelics. And as you can see, the chambers of the mind light up. No wonder Steve Jobs says, in his biography, I love psychedelics. It helped me think differently to create Apple. Francis Crick visualized the DNA helix while involved with psychedelics. They can help with creativity. So what he found was that when we have obsession, when we have depression, when we have anything where the mind is trapped, running down the same route over and over with negative thoughts, that's called the default mode network. And the mind has been captured. He has a book out called Capture, where he puts a unified theory of psychedelics and mental disorder together. The mind has been captured in these ruts. What happens with the psychedelics? New pathways open up. It's like you go home the same way every day, you drive that way, and the street is blocked. And now you have to explore other routes. This is what it's like if you have a flashlight that's zooming in on one thought over and over again. I'm a failure at relationships. I'll never be a success. My father was right. I should have gotten into business. My mother was right. I'm not a good housekeeper. Whatever the negative message is, and something gets to you where you're totally living it and internalizing it, this brings you out of it. And it brings you out of it quickly. And it brings you out of it in a lasting way. And you don't have to be hooked on some antidepressant. So Big Pharma does not like this at all. Big Pharma does not like this at all, but this is where creative destruction comes about in these particular industries. Stanislav Grof, who developed LSD psychotherapy, said psychedelics are the royal road to the unconscious. They're a superhighway. They're a jet plane. As a scientific phenomena, if you can create a condition in which 70% of the subjects achieve positive, lasting results in 1 or 2 sessions, ! Roland Griffiths.